tapping works really well. The secret to my success is this technique is groundbreaking. We are changing lives, and we're not going to stop until this tool is in the hands of millions and tens of millions and billions.
Here's JJ Virgin, triple board certified nutrition and fitness expert and 4-time New York Times best-selling author. It's time to reignite wellness.
Hey, JJ here, and I am super excited about our show today. So let me just ask you, if you're feeling a little anxious or stressed, or maybe you got some aches and pains, or maybe you just can't get over that food craving, and I could give you something that you could do that in like 10 minutes or less could get rid of that and doesn't cost anything, would you be interested? Hopefully right now you're jumping up and down going, yeah, heck yeah. Well, I have the most fantastic guest today. He's a return guest, my buddy Nick Ortner. He's the CEO of the Tapping Solution, and his mission is so aligned with mine. We're out there to help 1 billion people get healthy. He's doing that by bringing into the mainstream a simple, effective, natural healing method known as emotional freedom technique, or tapping. And tapping uses the ancient Chinese acupressure meridians and then modern psychology. And it is amazingly effective, which you're going to hear today, and effective for a whole lot of different things. So I'm super excited to share Nick with you. I will link in the show notes at jjvirgin.com/tapping. I'm going to link on over to a bunch of different resources that we talked about today. Specifically, one of the most important ones that I'm going to link over to is I'm going to link on over to the app. And that is where you can easily jump in and learn how to tap quickly. And he's got tapping meditations for a variety of different issues. So this is a great resource for you to have. So that's the biggie one that you're going to do. Now, next up, before we dive into this, next up thing is that we are going to do a little shout out. But I want to tell you why I do these shout outs, because every week, now I do these 3 times a week, but on my solo episodes and on my interview episodes, I always do a shout out to a guest who's left a review. And I so appreciate these. You have no idea what they do for all of us. Because this is really how the whole team, and it takes a village to put these on. This is no easy thing here to do all this. Takes a village to put on these episodes. We've got the team that goes through booking the guests, getting the bios, getting the questions, doing all the pre-interview work, setting up the links, and then I jump in. I slide into my home podcast studio with my ring lights, multiple laptops, multiple mics. And then I think I honestly have the fun part, and then we have to get it edited and dropped in, and everybody wins when you leave a review. People who are considering listening to the podcast win, but the team wins too. So it really helps us a lot. So that's my big ask, if you'll rate and review the show. And I want to do a shout out to Francis, 5-star, who says, thanks for the handhold, and says, JJ, thanks so much for your recent episode, What to Eat and When. Finally, a step-by-step, easy to follow way of eating that makes sense. I've been listening to you for a few months now and have thoroughly enjoyed each and every episode. I love that you get right to the point and tell us exactly what we need to do and why. You are an amazing example yourself, and you obviously walk the talk, and that is a huge motivator for me to continue listening. Thank you for what you do, and please keep the amazing content coming. Thank you, Francis. I will tell you, it's always been my philosophy to be super transparent about what I'm doing, and I don't go and preach stuff I'm not doing myself. So I really I said it. I really do what what I'm recommending. Go figure. I know that's crazy. Anyway, I'm going to share a favorite with you, and then I will be back with my buddy Nick to blow your mind with the possibility and the amazing experiences and that you will get with tapping. Stay with me.
This episode is brought to you by Redfin. You're listening to a podcast, which means you're probably multitasking. Maybe even scrolling home listings on Redfin, saving homes without expecting to get them. But Redfin isn't just built for endless browsing. It's built to help you find and own a home. With agents who close twice as many deals, when you find the one, you've got a real shot at getting it. Get started at redfin.com. Own the dream.
Nick Ortner, welcome back. It has been forever. What the heck?
JJ, time flies. We blink and a decade goes by,
I
right?
know. Well, I have, you are my go-to, of course, whenever I talk tapping. It's like, you got to go check out Nick Ortner, tapping solution, tapping app, all things tapping. I would love to start because we've done a podcast before, and we'll link to it in the show notes. So we're going to go deeper today. But I'd like to start first with how the heck you got into all of this to begin with.
Yeah, great question. So I started using tapping for myself personally right around 2002. I just found it online, and
But I
as it
mean,
is,
how did you find it online? It's not like,
yeah,
that's pretty random to start with.
man, I know. It's like how do you find anything online? One link takes you to another. And I do remember people talking about this tapping thing, EFT. And it was like, I would read story after story, like, oh, my back pain went away and this changed and that changed. And I broke through limiting beliefs. I know for sure, and I don't know if this was my first introduction, but I saw Tony Robbins actually speak about tapping really like quick little demonstration, 10 minutes at a leadership conference that he did in San Diego. And so that might have been another place where I saw Tony's still a big fan and he loves what we're doing and loves tapping. So I was like, okay, maybe it was a little bit of Tony, found it online, searched it online, and read the basic instructions. And as most people are like, okay, wait, all right, what am I doing? All right, I'm this and I'm that. And I remember some of my early experiences, and I know that you've had them. It's like, okay, you're doing this tapping thing and you're thinking, this is so weird, but you're upset about something and then it's just gone. And
Yeah.
it's like, it's gone in a way that things just don't normally go away, right? It's gone
Yeah.
in a way that it's like, this is a real shift that happened. Not, okay, I'm angry or I'm anxious, so let me try to make a choice to not be anxious. All right, that's what most of us have learned. The first step is like, all right, recognizing who we are, how we feel, how we have to take responsibility for how we feel. And the tools that we have are like, well, if you're angry or anxious, try to let it go, right? Just like,
That works so well.
you know, and it's like, all right, well, I'm trying. And then
Yeah.
what most people do when they don't have the tools to actually let it go is they bury it,
Yeah.
right? So
And that's
it's
great too.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
great too. So it's like, and then what also happens is like we learn about the law of attraction and the secret and positive thinking and all great stuff. And then people go, okay, all right, so I know I got to be positive and I know I can't have anger and anxiety and all these things, but I don't have a tool to address those things that I
Yeah.
actually have. So I'm going to really swallow them. I'm going to go around saying all these affirmations and I'm going to be feeling more miserable every single day. So I was having that same journey and that same experience of like, all right, it's one thing to know I want to shift my state, but how do I actually do it? How do I shift my mental state? And, diet and nutrition, all those, like this all pulls in together 100%. But I was sort of stuck on like the mental side. It's like, okay, how do I let go of these things? I started using tapping with friends and family. The running joke at the time was, don't say anything is wrong around Nick because he's just going to make you tap on it. If you were with me around that time, you'd be like, well, I'm struggling with this. And I'd be like, well, we have to tap on it. I've backed up
Chilled
a
out.
little bit.
I
Now,
used to
chilled out.
take food out of people's mouths at parties, so I
Yeah, there you
totally
go.
get it. I
There you
totally
go.
get it. They're like, don't eat that around JJ.
Yeah. Now I let them come to me. Now
Yeah.
it's like,
Yep.
okay, much easier that way to not force your friends and family to change. But time and again in these little experiences, I remember driving, I can see it, so clearly driving to a Yankees game with my buddy. We live probably about an hour and a half outside of New York, so it was like going to be a long drive. And I'm driving, he's in the passenger seat, and he's going like this with his shoulder, and he's just like, oh man, I just really hurt my shoulder a couple weeks back and touch football and just not going away. And I said, you got it. All right, we got to try this tapping thing. So I took him through it as we were driving and, okay, do this, do that. And he's doing it. And then he was like, oh, wow, like the pain is gone. And it was experience after experience like that with not being an expert practitioner, not being, like years of training, just saying, hey, use this technique. having people get a result that I became so passionate about it. And then right around 2007, this was when The Secret was at its peak.
Mhm.
My regular life, I was in real estate with my brother and my father. We were buying, fixing up, and selling properties, right? So we were like flipping houses. It is hard work. It is miserable work. You try to be as honest and kind and try to make a difference in the world as you want in that business. It's a tough one,
It's
right?
not
Because
like
you're
the
like,
reality show? It's not like
it's
the
not
Property
like a
Brothers?
reality show.
See, you
It
guys
is,
were just ahead of your time. You guys totally could have been the
we
Property
could have been the
Brothers. You
property
could
brothers.
have been. And then you could
I,
have done some tango dancing too. It would have been
it was,
amazing, Nick.
it was another destiny,
Wow.
Thankfully,
But this
2000.
is probably leaving a bigger mark, a bigger dent in the
So.
universe.
I hope so. I hope so. So we were doing that. I was into tapping on the side, and I had this inspiration to make a movie. And I mean, when I say inspiration and very dumb idea at the same time. And the reason I say dumb idea is because I had no reason to do that, right? I had no filmmaking experience. I had no money. I didn't have a team. It was just like, why don't I
And
make a movie?
yeah, what could possibly go wrong?
Possibly wrong, right? I enlisted my younger sister,
And
Jessica.
it's not like you could make a movie on your iPhone like you can now.
Oh
right?
my gosh,
This is
absolutely.
2007. Okay.
Yeah. Like so I bought $40,000 worth of camera equipment, lights. I listed my younger sister, Jessica, one of my best friends, Nick Palizzi, who a lot of your listeners will know.
That seemed to work
run-
out well for Nick.
It worked out well for Nick, runs a Sacred Science now. Kevin Gianni was also involved at that point
All
for
my
a little while.
faves.
He got busy. So with this motley crew, I remember again one of those vivid memories of being in this little 500 square foot apartment where I was living with my girlfriend at the time. We get all this equipment, all these boxes, and we're just opening things up and going like, I think this is a light. Does this look like a light? And then we had to YouTube how to set up lighting shots. Even now, the lights are so much better. Things then are heavy. We had these
Oh God,
briefcases
remember those
we're carrying
big,
around.
like now I've got a couple ring lights. Remember those big, huge things that took up all the room, those huge
All the room,
lights?
winding, traveling with it was miserable. So we had to travel, all the equipment, get things done. So, but we set out, and what we did first is we filmed a bunch of people. So we filmed Jack Canfield and Cheryl Richardson and Joe Vitale and Bob Proctor and all these experts out in the world who were into tapping. And it was like we got those interviews, and then we had the interviews, and I was like, "What's the movie here?"
Yeah.
Because it's like, all right, it's just a bunch of people talking, and I didn't want to be that. I love The Secret, so super inspirational, amazing, much bigger budget than our film had. Made it for about 150 grand, but we said collectively, like, what if we put this to the test? So we had the experts, and then we brought 10 people in from around the country for a 3-day event. We went to their house. We had a bunch of applications, went to their homes beforehand, filmed them, showed, hey, here's John, a Vietnam veteran with 30 years of chronic back pain. This is a regular dude. He's never heard about tapping. He's been suffering for 30 years. He's had multiple surgeries. You can see the x-rays. You can see the pain meds he takes. This is a real dude. We're going to bring him to Connecticut. We got a little retreat center in Connecticut, and we're going to film him for a couple of days and see what happened. And we did that with 10 people, all different ailments, fibromyalgia, more pain, someone dealing with cravings and weight loss, just trying to get sort of the gamut of the different people that we could help with tapping.
It was like an early reality show.
It was an early reality show, like let's prove this technique. And the event was wonderful. John, who I mentioned, wakes up the second morning pain-free for the first time in 30 years. And it's like, again, looking back, I'm like, what was I thinking? Like,
thank God you weren't really thinking. Like, I mean, it was brilliant is the thing. Like, Nick, it was totally brilliant.
To not think too much.
Well, if you'd thought that through, you'd have gone, no way. But it was like the smartest idea ever in retrospect. Like, right?
And aren't all good ideas, right? Because you're just, I just follow the passion, inspiration. You're just committed. And look, underneath all of it, someone asked me the other day, like, what's the secret to your success? And I can talk about different entrepreneurial strategies and what I've done. And the secret to my success is tapping works really well. The secret to my success is this technique is groundbreaking. If I'm doing a movie about a technique that doesn't work, then it's not going to be a huge success.
Well, I mean, here's the thing, though. You found something that really worked. You got super passionate about it. And then you just kept getting up and going, taking it out there. Like, so what's the real secret? Taking action on a really great idea that the world needs.
The world needs, exactly. And being mission driven and, underneath it all being like, we are changing lives and we're not going to stop until this tool's in the hands of millions and tens of millions and billions.
And
Right?
you're definitely doing that, which is super exciting. Okay,
Thank
so take us back to
Yes.
that retreat center.
So we have the retreat center. We have all this amazing footage. And now, again, some of it is filmed well, other isn't because we hired local kids to hold cameras. And then we're looking at the footage later going, well, Johnny said he'd worked a camera before,
So
but
it's like Blair Witch
he
Project.
definitely hadn't. And then, so then every step of this way, we're like, okay, I guess we'll figure this out. I guess we'll do that. Yeah, Nick Polizzi felt confident doing the filming, so he figured that out. Jessica knocked on doors and wrote letters and just worked our butt off to get the interviews. Then we had all this footage, and we had not only the event, all these people, but then we'd done random things like taking someone golfing and doing tapping with them to show the difference in their swing with a golf pro. So it was cool stuff, but it was like, how do we fit this in a movie? And the retreat is over. Now it's time to edit this film. And it's hundreds of hours. So we go, okay, we're not editors. So we have to go reach out to an editor. Very expensive. Right. So we find some people, they start editing. We look at it. We go, no, that's not it. No, that's not it. Spend more money. No, that's not it. And Nick Polizzi on his MacBook Pro that he had bought to, store all the footage during Christmas and in his grandmother's basement. I mean, I couldn't be making up a more ridiculous scenario of where he was. Literally his grandmother's basement down in Florida. He's going to visit her. He just starts cutting things on Final Cut Pro, figuring out, here's how to cut this, here's how to cut that. We jump on the phone. Okay, well, so we need an intro with this, but okay. And he put together a little 2 or 3 minute thing. And I said, this is the best that we've had from any other editors. So
you're the editor, Nick.
You're the editor,
This is so good.
And he was. And 90 days, 120 days together, him and I on the phone, going through it, looking at footage, cutting it. We cut the whole thing ourselves. It was just like, there it is. And step by step, knowing, again, I think if there's one thing that him and I are both good at is understanding an audience and understanding people and understanding how someone might receive something and how people think and what makes sense to them and what doesn't make sense to them. So I can step back and be like, hey, we're talking about tapping in a weird way that isn't logical. So let's try to break it down. Let's be more logical about it. Let's make different connections to people. Let's move them emotionally, then give them the science. So we did that collaboratively, and then we launched the film. We released it in a local little theater. We rented out the theater for the night, flew in a bunch of the participants who had been at the event so they could see the movie and we could share their results there. And then we made DVDs, and for $19.95 or $29.95 or whatever the price was, we sold them online. We built a website, sold them online, did well. It took us about a year to break even. So a year in, I'm broke. I'm even on the 150 grand that I spent. And then in 2009, so timeline 2007 start, movie in 2008. 2009 was when we did our first Tapping World Summit. And that was an online event, one of the biggest summits of its kind.
And we basically were people even doing summits back then?
So Kevin Gianni and I are fairly sure that we named things World Summits. We can't find an earlier version.
I'm pretty sure you guys were it.
Him and I did the Fountain of Youth World Summit in 2007. So even 2 years before the Tapping World Summit was out, it was 2007. And basically what we did was there was these teleseries out then. And I hope people, this is
I remember the teleseries.
Yeah. So again, you'll see how so much is created from just we got to figure this out. We have no choice. So we were going to do this teleseries, and the teleseries ran for 3 or 4 months. And what most of them did was, you'd have a guest on like you, and you'd talk for an hour and then sell a product at the end of it. And that was what the revenue model was, both for the speaker and for the listener. And we wanted something where the actual content was the product. So it wasn't just a radio interview. We wanted to be like, hey, let's not tell people, it's totally fine that they buy the next thing, but can we make the thing itself a package? So we had that idea first, to be content first, not pitching products. And then we looked at the timeline, and the teleseries was 3 or 4 months, and we're like,
oh my gosh,
well, this is too long. And frankly, we can't really get paid until the end, because even if people buy in the beginning, there's going to be refunds. So we go, well, let's make it shorter. We'd said a month. And then we go, well, that's still too long. So then we said 10 days. So what we did is we packed it, we condensed it, mostly because we just needed to make money because we were so damn broke. And that turned it into, now it seems obvious, oh, it's like an event. And then
Yeah.
we said a summit. And then we said, oh, a world summit. So we have this World Summit. Him and I did the Founding Youth World Summit. Didn't do very well, but it was an early test case.
Yeah.
And then
Research and development.
That's it. And then the Tapping World Summit for us was when the business really broke open, because what we were able to do is, we had 20 presentations over 10 days, 2 per day. My sister did all the interviews. We focused so heavily on content. We did outlines, and we're about to run our 12th annual Tapping World Summit. So this has continued.
And these are a ton of work. For anyone listening, you have really, this has been it's turned into quite a business, but really it was all passion and getting this information out to the world. And tapping's this great resource. It's free.
It's free.
Anyone can do it. You can listen to all these summits. You don't have to buy anything to listen and get all the benefits. So, you really look at it and go, the majority of what you do in the world is get free content out to the world to help people be able to use it, make a difference, right up there with your app. So, I just have to acknowledge that, because it's really amazing. And my gosh, you've changed millions of lives. And I know you're just you feel like you're probably just getting started with all of it, right?
I do.
Let's go into the billion mark, right? So it's so cool. As far as tapping goes, I know we're going to walk people through it.
Sure.
But you talked about all those different conditions. First of all, what exactly is it?
Yep.
And then I'd love to talk about what are the different things that it can be used for?
Yeah, newbies who are he's been talking about tapping.
What the hell is that? What is
Tapping
it?
World Summit. There's tap dancing.
Yeah.
What is it?
So back up. What the heck is tapping? And for those of you who can't see, we will also have in the show notes at jjvirgin.com/tapping. We will link you. This is also going to be on YouTube. We'll link to, you've got that great handout with the places on your body to tap, because you're what I use for all of my resources. You are it. You are it for me on tapping. So we'll have all of that in the show notes as well. But go ahead and walk us through.
So we call it tapping, and what I'm doing now, if you're listening, is physically tapping on endpoints of meridians of my body. And
what's that mean? Endpoints, meridians of the body.
Yeah,
why are these spots?
So these are spots of greater electrical conductivity, and a lot of people have heard about the Chinese meridian system, acupuncture system. We have endpoints of meridians all throughout our body. What we're doing with the tapping and the basic EFT tapping sequence is hitting.
EFT is emotional freedom technique.
Thank you. Is
Curse
hitting
of knowledge.
major endpoints of meridians. And what the latest research has shown is that when we do this, we send a calming signal to the amygdala in the brain, the fight or flight response center. That's why we were talking about anger and anxiety earlier. So, for example, you're angry about something. Someone said something to you 2 weeks ago, and you think about it right now, and your blood just boils, right? So what's happening in that moment? In that moment, your amygdala is firing. Your fight or flight response center is firing. Your stress center is firing. The same is the case with anxiety. Oftentimes, as we'll go deeper, the same is the case with pain when we're constantly in that fight or flight response. The same is the case with virtually any stressor in our body and life is connected to this amygdala, to this reaction. And, when I think about this, I really also like to look at, say, fears and phobias to get an understanding of how just programmed we are, right? So, JJ, I don't know if you've ever had a fear of public speaking. I know you don't now. But for us, we're speaking in public now. We are being seen. My palms are not sweaty. My stomach isn't gurgling. But for other people, doing this same exact thing could be a terrifying, horrible situation. Being up on stage in front of 10 people or 100 people or 1,000 people is panic-inducing. Now, what's happening in that moment? That doesn't make logical sense. Why is it that you can get up on stage and be fine, and someone who has a fear of public speaking will not be able to speak, will stumble, will sweat? They have a conditioned response somewhere in their past, somewhere in their history. They have decided speaking in public is dangerous. Speaking in public is dangerous to my physical self, right? As if someone's going to throw tomatoes at us. And maybe it's we were in 5th grade and we got up in front of the class and had to read a story and stumbled over a word. And the whole class laughed because you said something wrong. And you decide in that moment, I'm never doing that again. That is dangerous. And then what tends to happen is these belief systems and these thoughts and these patterns tend to perpetuate themselves. So if in 5th grade you get laughed at, then in 7th grade you've got to give another report. And what happens? 2 months before you know it's coming, you're miserable every night before you go to bed because you know that this dangerous, horrible experience is coming. So then you can't think well, you can't prepare well, and you are likely to stumble and be terrible again. So now you're starting to get this belief, oh, I'm a bad public speaker. This is just who I am, which all you are is a set of conditioned experiences. I believe that no matter what's going on in our lives, we all have something that we want to overcome. We want to be in better shape. We want to have better relationships. We want to speak in public. We want to speak our truth. We want more abundance. We want to feel more comfortable in our bodies. If we don't feel the way we want to feel, if we don't have the things that we want to have, it's because we have a set of patterns from the past that are keeping us stuck, that are conditioning us. What the tapping can do, step by step, sometimes magically with huge results, and other times with a lot of perseverance and a lot of rewriting of these programs, is that we can do just that, rewrite those programs to become the person that we want to be.
I was reading some of the research on it because I use this a lot as I was preparing to launch Miracle Mindset Warrior Mom and realizing that this was very different than a diet book because it was all about my personal life. It was like, oh, no, I had so much anxiety around it. It was ridiculous. Yeah. I tapped my way through the whole thing. Yeah. And I remember listening to Dawson Church, and he was describing some of the studies they'd done on cortisol and PTSD. I'd love to talk through a couple of those because I looked at this and I went, this is the greatest thing for stress that there is out there. Like, there's nothing better.
No, look, I'm obviously biased. There's nothing better. There's also nothing better for regular people who have busy lives, who it's really tough to go from that anxious, super panic state to go, you know what, I'm going to meditate now. Yeah. Right? Because for most people, they just sit there and they're just like, oh, there's too much. Now, you can do both. I love to go, let me tap, let me release the stress. And now when I go into meditation, oh boy, is it so much deeper. But for the rest of the world, I know meditation, mindfulness is a hot thing now. This is why I'm convinced that tapping is going to be the next hot thing, because once we get enough research in, enough people trying it, they're going to know this works. So
this is really smart, though. I got to tell you that idea of, because I'm that person who will go try to slide into meditation and it just doesn't work because I'm bringing all that stuff in, to tap your way into meditation. Wow. Okay. Back it up. Let's talk the research on it, because I was blown away by the research on cortisol.
Yeah, so let me give you some numbers. And if someone wants to look at this, they can see all of it at research.eftuniverse.com. That's Dawson's website.
We'll put that into the show notes as well as my, I did a podcast with Dawson at some point where he talked about some of this too, because he's done some great work on this.
Yeah, so I'll count this down, and we have one new study that is about to come out, which I'll tell you about in a second. Cool. So cortisol down 37%.
37. I thought it was 27, and I was blown away. 37. Oh my God.
Immunoglobulin A up 113%, almost doubled, right? Pain down 43%, anxiety 40%, depression 35%, PTSD 44%, resting heart rate down 8%, which is huge. I mean, I know it doesn't seem like a lot, but you don't want to drop your resting heart rate to 50%.
Yeah, that'd be a problem.
Happiness up 31%, blood pressure down 8%, another massive marker there. Food cravings down 74%. So that's from a bunch of different studies. And then Dawson is submitting a paper to a big journal using the Tapping Solution app. So he looked at 316,323 individual sessions of our anxiety meditation, 63,711 stress meditation plays. So we've had over 1.1 million individual plays in the app.
That's just mind-blowing. That is mind-blowing, Nick. Like mind-blowing.
Now, and you know what's crazy? This is why, I often feel like such a greater purpose and a destiny
Yeah.
to share this tool. We hit 1 million individual sessions completed exactly 1 year after we released the app. Without trying, I mean, if we had tried, we couldn't have done it. But I'm not saying the week before, the week after, or the day before. The day
That's
to
crazy.
the date, it was, and we were watching it, and a couple days earlier, we're like, this looks like it's going to hit on
It's
that
like
day.
divine.
Like that day it hit.
Yeah.
So what Dawson is submitting is a paper showing the reductions in stress and anxiety. The mean scores were minus 29.13 for anxiety, minus 30.8 for stress. And that's in a 10-minute session. Like
10 minutes.
These are so short. It's out of this world. The results that people are getting are out of this world. I've known it. You've known it. We've tapped for a decade. Have known it. But now it's like, it's kind of hard to argue with 1.1 million individual sessions. Like, it's hard to say, oh, placebo effect or this, that, and the other, because the data set that we have is so massive that to me, it's just a matter of time until there's a recognized acceptance of this as a tool that everybody should be using.
Now, I seem to remember, weren't you doing something with one of the hospitals too?
Well, we're talking to a couple
happening?
hospitals.
Okay.
And so this is
God, this just seems so obvious. Like, why the heck wouldn't this be in hospitals? Like, especially as someone going into surgery, so what? Come on.
So this is why the app, which came out a year ago, is a complete game changer. Because when we had tried to do things before, people are always reaching out. Oh, let's get this in our hospital unit in Arizona. And before the app, the only thing to do was maybe go there, train 20 nurses. How long do you have with them? What's the cost? I mean, the second you're out the door trying to train 20 nurses, you're 50 grand in training costs and hotels and flights and this, that, and the other. The app changes all of that because we can custom make things for people. One of my assistants talked to someone in a hospital. We're going to do a nurse's floor. We're going to build a specific toolkit for the nurses so they can use for themselves. They can use with their patients. It's just so much easier to build things out now with the app and get the data.
Well,
and
think
then
about all the people in the hospital. I was just thinking, here I am thinking about the people going into surgery, but like, duh, I forgot what it was like for me when my son was in the hospital. It's like, that's it. Everyone in the waiting room needs
everyone in the waiting room. And look, the outcomes, I know that once we build, if you get a cancer diagnosis, people say, oh, does tapping work on cancer? No, that's the wrong question to ask. Tapping works on your stress response. And the second that you have a diagnosis of cancer of any sorts, your stress is through the roof. Obviously, makes total logical sense. You're not doing anything wrong by having that response. Your stress is through the roof. Your anxiety is through the roof. Your cortisol is up. Your immune system is suppressed the minute you have diagnosed with cancer, your immune system is more suppressed because of the emotional cascade of stress, anxiety, and fear that hits. So what happens if we can relieve some of that emotional cascade? What happens if we can do whatever you choose, the chemo, the radiation, the natural treatments, this lifestyle, that lifestyle, diet, but we look at the stress and anxiety. We look at the emotional response. We build up the confidence and the energy again. It's an absolute game changer. And I know a lot of your listeners are practicing doctors and working in hospitals. Reach out. Like, I am with this app now, I'm ready to do every study anywhere, to test it, to document it, to put it to the test, because I know it can help in such a big way.
This is so exciting. I'm going to bring you onto our Mindshare podcast too. That's what I was thinking. It was like, oh my gosh. And one other thing I was looking at is wow, what an amazing tool. Because how I first got introduced to it is I had my older son was, I think, 5 or 6 years old. Maybe he was 5 years old, and he was having so much anxiety. And I can't remember now who was like, oh, you should go get him to learn tapping. And the fact that there was even a tapping practitioner in Palm Springs, and she took us and taught us how to do it. And my younger son, Bryce, the year younger one, was the one who kept coming over, Mommy, will you tap with me? It was the sweetest thing ever, And I go, what a tool. Like, this should be, could you imagine if children learned how to do this in school?
No, it's a total game changer. And I mean, look, you just shared this. Let me tell you why it's also a game changer beyond talk therapy. And I love talk therapy, and cognitive
Well,
behavioral
none of
therapy,
this
like,
negates anything else. It's
100%.
additive.
It's an add-on.
It's, you know.
So this is why it's huge. You're dealing with a 5-year-old who maybe was bullied at school, or a 6-year-old or a 7-year-old. They're in a little bit of a pre-verbal stage, right? I mean, they're talking,
Yeah.
but they don't know how to explain their feelings. Oftentimes, if you're bullied or hurt, even adults don't want to talk about it, right? So with the tapping, you can just take them through the process without them verbalizing what's going on. As long as you have them thinking about, hey, do you have a tough day at school? Great. Think about what happened. And all they're doing is thinking and tapping. They're firing that amygdala, that part of their brain that is beginning to encode for fear and anxiety and stress and overwhelm because of that negative experience. We're calming the system as we're doing that. And that's why I hear before bed, kids sleeping amazingly. My brother wrote a kid's book, Gorilla Thumps and Bear Hugs, which is taking kids through the tapping point. People read it before bed. People read it, whenever something comes up that's challenging and emotional. And we're just working on a kid section for the app. So we'll have a little
Oh, this is so good.
kid avatar. There's a couple things we have to do because we got to make it for parents, not kids, because of privacy things and different little things. But we're just working on that, and hopefully in the next couple of months we'll have more there.
Okay. Oh my gosh. All such good stuff. So I'm going to put this all at jjvirgin.com/tapping. So we will have the link to the app. Our last interview where you actually walked people through how to tap I'm assuming now, all they need to do is get on the app and it will, like, it's
That's
all of a
it.
sudden
Download
life
the
is
app.
so easy.
I know, it's so easy. It
It's-
shows everything. It's perfect.
Oh, wow.
You see all the points light up. We take you through a very quick onboarding so you can learn the basics and be tapping in minutes. And the way the app works, there's about 20 free meditations in there. You can do plenty with that. And then there's 200 plus if people want to upgrade and get the premium subscription.
That's so awesome. Thank you
And
so much. We'll just,
growing every day.
so good. You are such a game changer. I appreciate you so much. I'm out to help 1 billion people get healthy. And so I figure you're probably into the 100 million. So
Look,
there you go.
I am with you on 1 billion. Let's start there.
That's how we all do it together here. So we are
100%, and it is.
right?
And that's an important part of all this, to look at it all together. What are all the pieces to really get healthy?
Awesome. So after the break, I'm going to give you a couple takeaways on how to put this into action. So stay with me. All righty, let's put this into action, shall we? And this is an easy one. And honestly, I think tapping, first of all, I was super excited about this idea that Nick had when he talked about meditation and tapping. Brilliant. I just love that idea because I am one of those people that slides into meditation, sits there and thinks of all these things and anxious and blah, 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 and I can't get into it. So what a cool takeaway to do tapping if you are going to go into meditation and you have trouble like kind of relaxing your high anxiety, maybe something just upset you, to use tapping first. So that was like a super cool takeaway I've never heard before. And so obvious once he said it. But I will tell you that tapping is something that I've had, I call it, in my toolbox. We actually put it into the Miracle Mindset Academy and interviewed Nick in there. And this is something that I have used for years to help me because I have a tendency to be a higher anxiety person. And so does one of my sons, my younger son. So this is something that I started doing with him when he was 5. I kind of need to do a little gentle reminder with him now, which is why the app is so awesome, because then it's not mommy saying something. So my big takeaway from today is grab that app. It will be in the show notes at jjvirgin.com/tapping. Plus we'll have the research link. Plus we'll have the other podcast where he walked us through it. But now you can get walked through it on the app. It's so awesome and it's free. So there's zero excuses here. So think about just the opportunity there of a way to lower your cortisol, because as you know, high cortisol means belly fat, because high cortisol is going to drive up blood sugar, drive up insulin, and cause you to store fat in your belly. It can cause leaky gut. It can cause food cravings. It can cause poor sleep. So, I mean, this is like the most amazing tool ever. I'd heard it was 27%, which was mind-blowing, but 37% to drop cortisol is pretty crazy. And again, it's something that's going to normalize it. If you're someone who's adrenally exhausted, it's not going to lower you, right? So this is a great tool to use to rebalance you. So that's my big takeaway. Get the app, and get the app again by going to jjvirgin.com/tapping. You will get the link to everything. And one big ask before I go is if you would be so kind to go and rate and review. It helps us a lot. I super appreciate it. And then be sure your name's in there so I can give you a shout out on the next show. Alrighty. See you next time. Bye.